and welcome to today's video. We are going to be ranking some of the palettes that I have been trying, testing, and I'm finally ready to review. I always like to do follow-up reviews on my channel, whether I've done tutorials with these palettes, first impressions. Some of these I have tutorials on over on my Instagram, but I always like to follow up and give you my review. Once I've really tested the palette, used it more than once or twice, I've used all the shades, and I feel like I can tell you my full thoughts. So instead of just giving you reviews, we're gonna do these in ranking reviews. So we're gonna rank them from least favorite to most favorite. And if you are new here, hey, my name is Heather and makeup makes me happy. Here at my channel, we don't try to be perfect. We just want to have a good time with our makeup, whatever that means. Shimmer, glitter, ranking palettes, we are here for it. So if that sounds good to you, I do hope that you will subscribe before you leave today, because I do upload lots of new videos every single week. But I cannot wait to rank these palettes, so let's jump into it. Before we get started, let me just throw out there that of course I'm not going to be ranking my collab palette with Adept Cosmetics. This is the Heather Austin palette from Adept, and of course I'm not going to rank it because this is the best palette of the week, the month, the year, the millennia, the best palette of my life. I created this palette in collaboration with Adept Cosmetics. I will put the info in the description box. But I'm not going to rank this because it's just not fair to do that to other palettes, right? It's not fair to include this. Of course it is number one. If you're thinking, Heather, what's your number one? Of course this would be number one, but I'm not going to include this in the ranking because it's just not fair. You know what I mean? It's just not fair to the other palettes. The same way that I did not rank the HELA palette from ODEN'S and one of my best friends, NYQVIST. I did not include this in my last ranking. A few of you were like, Heather, why didn't you rank this? Because it's not fair to the other palettes. This is amazing. The best. I love it. It was created with my friend. It's created with one of my favorite brands, ODEN'S. I love my friend. This would be number one. So I didn't include her in last ranking I did because she's amazing, above all favorite. So just in case you're like, Heather, where's your palette in this ranking? Don't worry, it is the best. It doesn't even compare. And I wanted to give you a ranking on all the other palettes that I've been trying. So these, I'm going to pop up a number on the screen for y'all because I will lose count. So I'll put the number down on the screen and we will start with my least favorite and work our way up to the most favorite. Okay, coming in at the bottom spot is not a new palette, but it is a new to me palette, and that is the Sephora Pocket Palette in Plum tones. Now the packaging on this is cute. I did not pay a lot for this palette, and I don't think this is like a terrible palette, but it definitely doesn't compete with some of the other palettes that I have tried. I bought this and tested this because I wanted to get more of a feel for the Sephora collection brand, to see what I thought about it, to see like if there were some hidden gems in the Sephora collection brand, and there definitely are. I did a full-faced video on the Sephora collection, so definitely check that out if you're curious. But this one, it wasn't terrible, but it's definitely not a palette that I'd recommend. I definitely have palettes that I like better. Even at a lower drugstore price point, I just have palettes that I like better. So for that reason, this is coming in at the bottom. Next up, I'm putting my Beauty Bay Midnight palette. This is the 16 color palette. Beauty Bay did a 9-pan, a 16-pan, and a huge one. I think like 42 pans of this. And I will say the quality in this was great. I did do a video with this palette. The only reason that I'm ranking it lower is because in my collection of Beauty Bay palettes, this isn't unique enough. So I don't know that I'm going to hold on to this one. I may end up passing it on to somebody else just because I have this. Now, if you don't have a lot of Beauty Bay palettes and you want this color story, I think it's great. The quality in here is consistent with the other Beauty Bay palettes that I have. I like it a lot. I can only rank things based on what I like and my personal preference. That's the beauty of ranking. So for me, I have the Book of Magic palette, which I like. I feel like it's a little more curated. The color story is just better for me. I have the Age of Opulence palette from Beauty Bay, also a similar vibe that I like better. So for that reason, because this isn't super unique in my collection, the color story doesn't like fill a gap in my Beauty Bay collection. This one just ranked a little bit lower for me. I actually may end up decluttering this one, not because it's a bad palette, but because I feel like I have these shades from Beauty Bay several times over. If you were curious about the quality though, I do think it is consistent with the Beauty Bay quality. So for that reason, because it's not unique enough to me, it's coming in a bit lower. Next up, I have Lois Cosmetics Meet Me at Midnight. I loved the Meet Me in the Underworld palette so much. It ranked very high in my yearly rankings for last year. So I was super excited when they announced Meet Me at Midnight. I do think the color story in here is very beautiful. I love that this palette has a lot of like jewel tones, very deep dark colors. You have a mix of matte and shimmer metallic type shades. I do have a video using this on my palette. It also has a really nice mirror. Alright, next I'm ranking my HINDASH palettes. I'm just going to rank these together because these are the same formula in both. I do have a video using these. These are very gently pigmented but very buildable, very blendable shadows. I think if you are somebody who likes a wash of color, if you like an eye and cheek palette together, you will really like these. If you want to build up intensity, you do dip in the pan a lot. I have found that using natural hair brushes work best for getting more intense pigment, but I really enjoy these. I have used these a lot. I have actually used these a lot on my face, like as a cheek blush. That's what I'm trying to say, as a blush. I've also reached into this palette a lot just to use this black. I've reached into these palettes a lot to add like a light inner corner matte highlight shade. I think these are really fun. I'm definitely curious to see more from HINDASH. I want to try more from the brand because I did have a good experience with these. But if you are looking for intense color payoff, that's not what these are. These are very sheer but buildable formulas, but very nice. I think these are very beginner friendly palettes. If you are scared of shadows that just go in and they're so pigmented right off the bat, I think you could like these palettes. I think they're really nice. These are at more of a luxury price point, but I've been enjoying these. Again, I've mostly used these for blushes and for inner corner matte highlight shades, and I've used this black a ton. I've really enjoyed having this. Next up, I have the Berries palette from Beauty Bay. This is another one of their 16 color palette. I really enjoyed working with this palette. I like that it goes from very light to very dark. I'm ranking this a bit lower because it is a very monochromatic palette. Again, I feel like I have these colors, well, I know I have a lot of these colors in my new Romantic palette from Beauty Bay. That one, of course, is not available anymore, so if you're missing out on these shades, you really may like this. I really like this shimmer up here. It's a beautiful shimmery pink shade that has a little bit of blue sparkle, so I think that shade is really special. I like that we can go, like I said, light to dark. I like that we also have more toned down type of shades and that we have very bright berry shades. I like the mirror on these, and of course I love the price point. Next, I have the Earthy palette. This was my favorite of the three. Green is my favorite color. It's one of my favorite eyeshadow colors to wear, so no surprise that this one is coming up. I really like that we have some more kind of, like I said, not neutrals, but neutrally green shades. We do have these olive tones, and we have these two that are definitely greens, but they are a little more subdued. And then we have the bright bold greens. I actually wore this palette on St. Patrick's Day. I had a whole lot of fun with it. I think it's just so pretty. But again, it's just hard for these monochromatic palettes to compete with some of the curated color stories that I have. Okay, now we're into the top 4, and I have to give it to the Colourpop Star Wars Darth Vader palette. I really enjoyed this palette. I think this is great quality from Colourpop. I think the packaging is really nice. It's cardboard, but it's weighted. You can feel like it feels so nice. The imprint on the front, like it's raised. There are really nice details here. And opening it up, we have a very cool toned color story with this pop of red and this kind of burgundy purple shade. Very beautiful. We have this shade up here called Stormtrooper that is in that super shock type of formula that I really like. I enjoy having these cool tones in my collection. We have this beautiful silvery metallic shade. It's just overall a really pretty palette. I do have 2 looks using this palette on my channel. I have a first impression video swatching this out, and then I have like a get ready with me video. So I've used all the shades in this palette. I've used all the shades actually on camera with y'all. I really like the mirror, the details. I think if you're a Star Wars fan, you'll love this, of course, but even if you're not, if you like this color story and you're wondering if the quality's good, it really is. This is such a nice palette, and I enjoy it. I've really enjoyed working with it. I think it's so good. Okay, the top 3 palettes, it got even harder to rank. I feel like spots 2 and 3, like they could kind of interchange with each other. I think these 3 are just amazing palettes, but everything has to rank somewhere. So at number 3, I ranked the Druid palette from Fantasy Cosmetica. This is a new to me indie brand. They did send me this palette, and I have to say, this is amazing. Like, this is so good. What's so fun about this palette is the trio chromes, the shifty shadows, the intense metallic. I did a video swatching this and kind of showing some of the shifts. I think the mattes in here are very beautiful. I had a few people asking me if I felt like this matte and this matte were too similar. This is Root and this is Old Growth. I definitely don't think so. This is a very neutral brown, and this is more of a red type of undertone to it. So when you apply them on the eyes, they're definitely different. So I really enjoy that. We have this beautiful shade Forest and Sage. All the mattes in here performed really well for me. But of course, these shimmery, shifty shades are the standouts in here. I also really like the packaging. I think this image is super cool with the like character and the bear here. I know this is gaming inspired makeup. I like that we have a nice mirror on the inside. And this shade right here is so shifty. It's like a purple to blue to green that's so beautiful. This one is super intense here. I also like that Fantasy Cosmetica included a neutral kind of metallic shimmery shifty shade. This one definitely can be used with this shade right here, and you can get a neutral look. Even though you look at this and you see the murky tones, you see the color, you can also use this for neutrals. And I know for a lot of people, and me too, I like to be able to create colorful looks as well as neutral looks, and this palette definitely gives it to you. I think the quality is there. This is beautiful, and I'm so excited to see what else this brand does, because if this is their first palette and it is amazing, like, I just have such high expectations for their next release and their next one. They've already shown that they know good eyeshadows, they have good formulas, and that they can curate a great color story. So I can't wait to see what else the brand does. Okay, number 2 goes to Natasha Denona Pastel Palette. I have used this palette so much. Definitely one of my most used palettes lately. I have used this mostly as a companion palette. I said in my video where I did 2 looks with this and I showed swatches and all, I said that for me this was going to be a companion palette, and it definitely has done that. I don't use this on its own because I like to add depth and dimension to my looks, but I have found myself pulling this palette in for so many looks. I love using these to blend out darker mattes. I've had fun pairing this with my Adept palette. That has been such a good time, like mixing these darker mattes or using like these mattes for a light look and then adding in one of my multi-chromes. I've loved doing that. I've reached into this shade Illusion a lot for the inner corner, as well as the shade Zest. Like, I have been using and loving this palette. This palette also has some of the cream to powder formula from Natasha Denona. That's one of my favorite eyeshadow formulas. I love being able to use that as both a base for eyeshadows and to blend out other shades. I think it's just so versatile and fun. I've used this shade a ton to blend out different shades like purples. I created a beautiful blue look using some other palettes and then going in and blending out with this. This is just a really unique palette to me. I've been using it a ton. I'm so happy to have these pastels. This is definitely one of my top favorite pastel palettes. Maybe I should do like a pastel palette ranking video. Let me know what y'all like, if y'all are interested in that, if you want to see it. But this one, oh, I really, really enjoy it. I love Natasha Denona's formula. So to have more colorful shades from her, especially colorful mattes, it just makes me beyond happy. And the number one palette that I have tried recently, the palette that is on my eyes, I'm sure a ton of you guessed it, is Unearthly Cosmetics Sleepover palette. First off, I love the packaging. I think this is so cute. It feels so nice, like I was talking about earlier. It's just like a nice weighted palette. And then the color story inside I think is so fun. This is how you do a not monochromatic palette. You want to be like in a color story, but you don't want to just be monochromatic. This is how you do it. I love that this palette goes from very light to very dark. I love that I can create a more neutrally leaning look. I love that I can go full on pink berry. I do have this more berry tone. I do have these very bright pink shades. I like that I have light pink shimmers. I like that I have mid-tone pink shimmers. I like that I have a darker kind of purpley, almost neutral shimmer, and this beautiful shade that I have on the inner corner that's more of like a duochrome. I love this. I love that we get this big mirror. I love that these pans are magnetic and removable, so if you have other Unearthly palettes, you want to move the pans around, you want to curate your own color story, it's so easy to do that. I do have a tutorial on my channel here on YouTube with this, as well as an Instagram tutorial. I have a lot of fun on Instagram just creating easy looks. I also used this today and I've really been enjoying this palette. I think it's so nice. I love the colors. I love that we can go neutral. I love that we can go colorful. I just think this is so beautiful. The quality of this palette, all of the shades have performed so well for me. So yeah, this has been my number one palette of all the palettes that I have been trying recently. Let me tell you quickly what else I have on my face, just in case you are curious. I am wearing my Lunar Beauty Faux Mink lashes. These are the mystery box exclusive lashes. I'm also wearing both of the blushes and the highlights from the Sleepover collection from Unearthly. So, I really have on the whole collection actually, because I also have on the Cupid gloss and I have on the Sephora Rouge Gel Lip Liner in Rum Raisin. I just lined and filled in my lips with this lip liner and then I went on top with the gloss. So I've really been enjoying that collection, you can tell. But let me know, do you want to see more of these ranking videos? Do you like when I follow up with these types of reviews? Do you like them in a ranking style? Definitely let me know, because I always want to create content that y'all like to watch. I hope that you enjoyed this video and I will see you very soon in another one. Bye!